funeral to go to today. Yeah, I don't know how to say his name.
Percy Horn?
Yeah, that guy. Ben, this is for you. Okay. All right, so yesterday we were talking about the domestic terror attack at the Murrah Federal Building. And so moving forward, there's a couple here, and both of these take place in Saudi Arabia. We are allies with Saudi Arabia. It is a monarchy. They have a king, okay? They have a lot of oil, and so we're friendly with them. There's a couple terrorist attacks on American personnel there. This one here in Bahrain, 19 American personnel were killed in the Khobar Towers housing facility. 515 are wounded, including 240 Americans. There's that movie I think I mentioned in here. It's called The Kingdom with Jamie Foxx. It's loosely based on this event here. Basically what happened, guys, there was a car bomb, okay, and then people came in to like rescue people, and inside one of the ambulances there was a larger bomb. So you had all the people there trying to help, and then another bomb goes off. Okay, this is the evil, that we're talking about. And then a car bomb in Riyadh kills 7, 5 of them American military and civilian advisors. All right, so we keep seeing these attacks overseas. Generally, our response is to leave and come home. Now, here's another domestic terror attack. This is at the '96 Olympics. Now, there was a movie that Clint Eastwood just did on this about the guy that was accused of doing this. His name was Richard Jewell. You guys see this movie? You saw it? Yeah. What happened to Richard Jewell was awful. He was a security guard. Okay, so we're at the Atlanta Olympics, and there's a big park, the Olympic Park, they called it. There was a backpack. Somebody left it there. And inside the backpack was a pipe bomb. Richard Jewell saw the backpack, looked at it, saw the bomb, and warned people to get away. The thing about Richard Jewell, you guys, most of you probably seen that movie, Paul Blart's Mall Cop. Sometimes you think about the security people, they're not real cops, it's a security guard, come on. Yeah, but Richard Jewell is he's like 30-something. He lives with his mother. He's a little bit slow. He's slow. And so when the FBI gets involved in this investigation, the profiling they do. You guys watch Criminal Minds? Profiling, or there's that really good show on Netflix called Mind Hunter. Ready for season 3 on that.
When's it coming out?
Because it keeps flashing to Park City, Kansas, right? And BTK. And so they build this profile of who would have done this pipe bomb. You know what I mean? And they look at the security guard. So the FBI is interviewing this guy, this security guard, and they think he did it. He's the one that put the pipe bomb there. One of the FBI agents leaks to the Atlantic Journal-Constitution, which is the newspaper in Atlanta, leaks his name. They publish his name, Richard Jewell, and his photograph, main suspect in Olympic Park bombing. This man saved hundreds of lives. It was not him. But they leaked his name to the media and destroyed this guy's life. Everybody thought he was a terrorist. You know what I mean? It ruined his mother's life. So I think, Clint Eastwood making this movie, you guys, if you get a chance, it'll be on TV soon. Watch it. I mean, it's really sad what happened to this guy. They eventually found the guy that did it. It was not Richard Jewell, but his name is remembered because of what happened to him. Okay, and he's a hero. Okay, he's a security guard. Probably made minimum wage. He's a hero. Okay? I don't think they named the movie after Richard Jewell. I forget the name of the movie. But if you look up Richard Jewell movie, fine. Okay. All right, next. All right, we go to rocket propelled grenades, U.S. Embassy in Beirut. Okay, we have these embassies and we try and keep people there as long as it's safe. Okay, and then here we get a big one in '98. Okay, this is at our embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. Okay, and hey, we're Where's your family from?
Senegal.
Senegal? Okay. So you've got, this is Nairobi's the capital, and Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Both explosions take place at the same time on the same day. Okay. And 12 Americans killed here, 291 total, 5,000 wounded. Big bomb. And then here in Tanzania, 10 killed, 1 U.S. citizen, 77 injured. Okay, so we respond to this. Now, by this time, guys, Al-Qaeda is on the map. I told you yesterday that the Sudan contacted Bill Clinton and said, hey, we got this guy bin Laden. We want him, and like we don't have anything to charge him with. Now we know he's a bad dude, and he's killed Americans. And so he's in Afghanistan at this point. So when bin Laden became radical, Saudi Arabia kicked him out of his own country. He went to Sudan, they kicked him out. He went to Yemen, they kicked him out, and the Taliban took him in Afghanistan. And that's why we were in Afghanistan, because that's where Al-Qaeda and bin Laden planned the attack on September 11th. Okay, so we start lofting cruise missiles into training camps, terrorist training camps in Afghanistan. And then we launch missiles into Sudan, in what is suspected of, like a factory suspected of producing components for chemical weapons. Suspected, right. We had bad intelligence on that. That factory, you know what it was making? Aspirin. We blew up an aspirin factory. Guys, this is why intelligence is so important. I mean, the fact that we knew a suicide bomb attack was going to happen this morning in Kabul probably saved some lives. But it ended up, I mean, it still killed. You didn't hear this coming in. This bomb went off this morning, and 11 American service members have died to this point. 10 Marines and a Navy medic. Okay, and then a bunch of civilians. Americans were told, do not come today to the airport. So hopefully there were no other Americans caught up in that. Okay. I don't know what's going to happen with this, guys. This is fluid. What's going on right now? Okay.
Fluid?
It's fluid, like it's changing.
Oh,
I mean, it's just like, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. I know what we can do, what we're capable of, whether we're willing to do that or not. Now, ISIS has claimed responsibility for this. And I'm going to get to ISIS today if I keep moving forward. Okay, so moving forward, 2000. Now, this is in the last year of Bill Clinton's presidency. Okay, the USS Cole is in the port of Yemen, which is on the Saudi Peninsula. It's a good refueling station for American ships. U.S. destroyer Cole's in port getting refueled. In a rubber dinghy boat, you know, like a little rubber boat with an engine on it, comes zooming up next to the ship filled with explosives and blows up. The hole in the size of the destroyer, it didn't sink it, is about the size of this room if you turn the room on its side. Big hole in this destroyer. Killed 17 American sailors, injuring 39. What did we do? We left. We quit using the Yemen port. Bush was elected in November of 2000, W. Bush. Takes office January 20th, 2001. And then on September 11th, we get hit. Big time. Right? And all of you have varying knowledge of what the events of 9/11. Okay? There were 4 planes that were hijacked. Now, if we look at hijackings, leading up to this, most of the time they got the plane on the ground and then dealt with the hostage situation. So the pilots and crew that morning on September 11th, guys, went along with the hijackers. They did what they were told to do. Now these hijackers, 19 of them, 18 of them are from Saudi Arabia, our friend. They were all in the country legally. They all had visas. Now, several of their names were on CIA watch lists as suspected links to terrorism. The FBI had several names, but the FBI didn't know these people were in the country. Or no, the FBI knew they were in the country, but the CIA didn't share that information with the FBI. This is called interdepartment rivalry. So like the Marines, the Navy and the Army, they don't like each other. The Army-Navy football game every year. Okay, they don't like each other. It's a rivalry. Well, the FBI and the CIA are an interagency rivalry. In fact, through law, we really restricted the FBI and the CIA from working together because nobody trusts the CIA. And some people don't trust the FBI, and they're like, we don't want these two agencies working together. This would be bad for the American people. Okay? If they would have shared just being distrustful of government. You know what I mean? Like on American citizens. It's a long story. Okay. So if they would have shared information, 9/11 likely would not have happened. We would have caught these guys beforehand. Now, they come into the country legally with visas. They're placed in cells, different, like groups of 4 in different parts of the country. They are not told what their mission is. These are sleeper cells. They put them in the country and then they give them things to do while they're in country. Some of them were sent to flight schools to learn how to fly planes. One guy shows up at a Florida flight school and tells the instructor, I don't want to learn how to take off from the ground or land a plane. I just want to learn how to fly the plane in the air. Now, I know racial profiling is offensive to some people, but you've got a Muslim man come in and doesn't want to learn how to fly a plane, take it off, or land it, but he just wants, there's something like, hey, maybe I should call somebody and have this checked out. Nobody called. Okay. Now, the thought of using airplanes, passenger jets, as missiles against civilian targets is not something we've seen before. So when you talk about conspiracies and you're like, how did we not know? Well, you've got to have a pre-9/11 mindset. We've never seen this before. Now, in World War II, we saw kamikaze pilots, Japanese pilots, flying their planes into U.S. ships, suicide missions. We saw that. But those are military targets with military aircraft. We lost over 5,000 Americans on ships in the Pacific to kamikaze attacks. Okay? So you guys are aware of Flight 93? The one that crashed in the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania? I know you're not supposed to have your cell phone turned on when you're on the plane. You're supposed to have it in airplane mode. Okay? But guys, loved ones, when the second plane hit the towers, we knew it was a terrorist attack. People started calling their loved ones on the planes. And people on the plane started calling their loved ones, saying we've been hijacked. And people were calling people on Flight 93 and said, look, these planes have flown into the Pentagon and the World Trade Center. They're using them as missiles. And so on Flight 93, a bunch of guys were in the back of the plane. They're on the phone. You can hear this conversation. You know, like, we got to retake the plane. We're not going to let this plane be used. And they don't know whether it was going to go into the White House or the U.S. Capitol. One of those two was the target. So these guys decided to take the plane back. So you can hear, one of the guys' name is Beamer. He's on the phone with his wife. And he's telling him, we're going to take the plane back. And the last thing she heard him say was, let's roll. And that kind of became a rallying cry. And obviously the plane crashed. They tried to take it back and the plane went down. Okay. Nobody on the ground died, like in the towers of the Pentagon. So they're heroes. People are heroes. Okay. So Al Qaeda, trace it back to them. Go into Afghanistan. We tell the Taliban, who's ruling over Afghanistan, who led Al-Qaeda set up terrorist training camps in their country. Tell them, hand Al-Qaeda over to us. We won't invade. They say no. Going in. The movie that came out not too long ago called 12 Strong. Anybody? Yeah. These are the first guys in country. Okay? They're on horseback. We're in the mountains of Afghanistan. You can't use Humvees. You can't use tanks. Our guys are riding horses. Some of them knew how, some of them didn't. There's a group in North Afghanistan called the Northern Alliance. They've been fighting against the Taliban for more than a decade. And they're like, we will help you. So we're there with Afghans that hate the Taliban, and we're fighting alongside them. And we're looking for bin Laden. He's hiding in a cave somewhere. And we look for bin Laden and bin Laden and bin Laden. 10 years, we can't find the son of a gun. But we do decimate Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. CIAs, look, I mean, we're using everything at our disposal. Obama's elected president. One of our CIA agents, a female CIA agent. See, what bin Laden would do during those years, he would videotape himself like in a cave, where you couldn't tell where he was. And then he would have, because he couldn't get on the phone, because we're listening to every freaking conversation in the Middle East. You know what I mean? We're listening for bin Laden. So he can't get on the phone and call people or do an interview. So he'd videotape a message and then have a courier take it to the media. And then it would be put up on the internet. You know what I mean? This female CIA agent kept noticing this guy's name. He was the courier. So they started tracking him. He'd go into Pakistan and then leave Pakistan. So we figured out bin Laden was in Pakistan. They followed him to a little compound outside of Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan. Intelligence was bin Laden is hiding there in that house. Okay? There's a movie on this called Zero Dark 30. And it's intense. Now, we did some things that some people don't agree with. Like when we captured these terrorists on the battlefield, we didn't like arrest them. We sent them to like Romania, to a black site. Tortured them. We interrogated them to get information. Waterboarding? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of it is. I mean, we have something called the Geneva Convention, right? Prisoners of war have to be treated a certain way, okay? And we probably violated them, okay? Now, I'm open to a debate over waterboarding, whether that's torture or not, but a lot of people think it is. Some people don't think it is. You think you're going to drown, but you're not drowning. Okay, they basically lay you kind of down, your head's down here, your feet are up here. They put a cloth over your mouth and they pour water on. And it gives you the feeling that you're drowning. Okay, now there's a debate out of how much information we got out of that torture, because people will say anything to avoid torture, you know what I mean? So some of the things they were saying were probably lies, some of them might have been truths, and so forth. Okay, that's a different debate, but we were doing it. Find this courier, track him, send in SEAL Team 6 into Pakistan. We do not tell the Pakistanis we're coming. So we're coming in low under radar using helicopters. By this time, we have a stealth helicopter. Pretty badass. And one of them, actually, the tail fin hits one of the walls and it's damaged. They're going to have to leave it and blow it up. So there's going to be evidence they were there. Okay. And they go into the house, into the compound, and, there's children, women there. They get to the top floor, and they identify bin Laden. And I believe there was a weapon or something. They saw a weapon. It was either capture or kill, and they pulled the trigger. Shot him right between the eyes. We took bin Laden. We took all his computers. And of course, this Islamic fundamentalist had, like many of them, videos, porn videos, nudie magazines, all this stuff, you know, these super religious fundamentalists, you know, that they say they are, okay? And then any computers and stuff, we grabbed that, grabbed bin Laden, got him out of there, and then we put him, we buried him at sea. Okay, so that there wouldn't be like a grave place where like people could come visit his grave and he'd be a martyr. You know what I mean? So we just dumped him at sea. Okay. But yeah, that was SEAL Team 6. All right. And so that gets us through September 11th, 2001. Okay. What I got to do now, guys, is because we're in a war over here, and we're going to Afghanistan. We're doing pretty good. It's tough. It's a really tough battle. But we're winning. Okay. So we got to fast forward, not too much, to 2003, because we're going to get in another war, and this one's going to be in Iraq. Okay. So, guys, after the 1990 war, which took 100 hours, remember that one? Okay, because Saddam invaded Kuwait, and we're going to get him out. Yes, everybody with me? After that war, people are like, well, why didn't we just get rid of Saddam then? That was not the mission. The mission was to remove him from Kuwait. Okay? And so the United Nations, this is basically the whole world, is saying we're going to place restrictions on Saddam Hussein. Guys, for 10 years, there was a no-fly zone where the Iraqi military could not fly aircraft in here. We patrolled it. Okay? Saddam Hussein could sell oil, but he could only sell oil for food. So we put restrictions on him. Okay, so he wouldn't, you know, raise a big army again and start another war. Punishing. Okay, but for those 10 years, guys, he violated resolution after resolution. In fact, the French were buying oil from Iraq illegally. Thanks, France. You know? So in 2003, President Bush starts making the case, this is W, the son, for war with Iraq. The case is built on this, that Saddam Hussein has connections to Al-Qaeda who attacked us. There are some, and I've looked into this, guys, there are some connections there, but not like a major connection, okay? We claim that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, or were building weapons and had weapons of mass destruction. Well, of course, we know they have weapons of mass destruction. Why? We gave them. We gave them that sarin gas. Now, when we got there and we were looking for it, it was gone. So that didn't look good. You know where it went? Syria. They got it out of the country. We know that because Syria used sarin gas on their own people. They're in a civil war right now and have been for the last 10 years. Syria. Now, the other case, this is a smaller one. His dad, Bush's father, Bush 41, is a hero in Kuwait. He saved the Kuwaiti people. So while W was president, Dad went back to be celebrated in Kuwait. And the CIA uncovered a plot to assassinate his father. Think W was pissed that Saddam was planning to assassinate his dad. This was the call for war. We're going to get rid of Saddam once and for all. Now, guys, in 2003, most Americans supported this. I supported this. Hillary Clinton supported this. John Kerry supported this. The Democrats and the Republicans. There were a few holdouts, but almost everybody supported the use of force. So here we go. Now, did I mention the Kurds to you? They're going to help us, okay? And dude, blitzkrieg that the Germans had in World War II that conquered Europe in months, not years, we've perfected it. Dude, we are going to kick the crap out of Saddam's army. Within 2 months, we're in Baghdad. Okay. No weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein's on the run. He's hiding. His army is taking off their uniforms and melting into the country, blending into the country. They're done. It's over. Now what? Now what do we do? Okay. So this is 2003, 2004. You guys remember the Mujahideen? These are the guys when Afghanistan was attacked by the Soviet Union that came from all over the Middle East to fight and kill the Soviets. That's what's going to happen. People from all over the Middle East start storming into Iraq to kill Americans. We call them the insurgency. They don't wear uniforms. And how are they killing us? Roadside bombs, IEDs, improvised explosive devices. You guys know what a Humvee is, right? The bombs they were using, we didn't have enough armor in our vehicles to stop the explosion from maiming and killing our people in our vehicles. In fact, who's going to start supplying these insurgents with these weapons? Who in the neighborhood? Iran has American blood on its hands. In fact, they're producing IEDs that will go through a lot of armor. So we start getting a lot of wounded, injuries, deaths. Now, not Vietnam numbers of deaths, but one is too many, but we start getting more and more. By 2006, guys, we're in a quagmire, man. It's a mess. So Bush says, look, we need to change our tactics. Because, guys, if you look at the rules of engagement, how can I engage the enemy? I cannot engage the enemy unless the enemy is firing at me. I cannot fire at the enemy. If I see a guy putting a bomb on the road, I can shoot him. But if he just finished putting a bomb there and is running away, I can't shoot him. You can't do any night searches, so the insurgents move around at night because you can't search their homes at night. Only women can search women. Only our female soldiers can search women, Iraqis, and Afghans. We're telling our soldiers to fight a war against people they don't know who the enemy is because they don't wear a uniform. And we're tying their hands behind their back to do it. That messes with people's heads. That messes with our soldiers' heads. You don't know who the enemy is. You got two people standing there. One could be supporting you. One could have a freaking suicide vest on and try and get as close to as many of you as possible to blow themselves up and kill you. You don't know who the enemy is. So Bush says, we're going to change tactics. We're going to send 27,000 more troops in. And this is where it got really political. Democrats are like, no, this is a bad idea. Republicans are like, if you think it'll work, I guess we should do it. So Bush gets his way. General David Petraeus writes the book on counterinsurgency, how to deal with insurgents, and then carries it out. By 2008, guys, things are a lot better. Obama's running for president in 2008. Bush has had 2 terms. Obama's running against John McCain. He's old. Obama's pretty lit. You know what I mean? He's, people love him. He says, we're going to get out of Iraq. If I'm elected president, we're getting out of Iraq. Okay? So we elect him. He keeps his promise. We're getting out of Iraq. It's now 2009. We're leaving. We're getting out. People are like, man, these Iraqis are not ready to, control their own borders yet. They're not ready to stand on their own 2 feet. He says, doesn't matter. We're getting out. Sound familiar? So, and I'm not throwing blame here. I'm not being political, guys. All these presidents I've mentioned, from Reagan, Carter, Bush, hey, they all did good things. They all did dumb things. Okay? So now, we're getting out. Pretty soon, you got a small group up here, Syria and Iraq, and they got a leader named al-Baghdadi. He claims he is a caliph, that he wants to start a new caliphate. There's been 6 in world history. Now, if you heard Obama say it, he didn't call him ISIS, he called him ISIL, Islamic State of Levant, which would be a one Muslim government controlling the Middle East. Caliphate. Baghdadi is the leader. And they start attacking the Iraqi army here, we're gone. What's the Iraqi army do when they face ISIS? They turn tail and run. And they leave American Humvees, American tanks, American artillery behind. Those fall into ISIS's hands, and ISIS is on the loose. 2011, Obama called ISIS the JV. Junior varsity. They're not a problem. The JV. Okay? Yeah, they are a problem. And they continue to grow and expand throughout. And up to 2017 was when they were at their height. ISIS of Iraq and Syria. Let me show you. You're supposed to pop up here. Oh, God. Are you over here? Stay with me. Okay. So you can see ISIS here at its peak. Baghdad, the capital, is right here. For any of you who had family that served in the Iraq War, one of the toughest cities we had to fight for in Iraq the first time, a city called Mosul, here. Another one up here called Fallujah. A lot of American blood was shed taking these 2 cities from Saddam's army back in 2003 and 4. Okay? ISIS now has control of these cities. Now we don't have troops there. So what does Obama do? Obama's like, dude, I got to send people back in. Started with a couple hundred special forces. I got 200 American special forces with air power above them can unleash holy hell on you. Okay? So Obama starts, going after ISIS, not with a sledgehammer. He's going after them, okay? Now, who else doesn't like ISIS? Syria doesn't like ISIS. The Kurds, they don't like ISIS. Turkey, they don't like ISIS. The Iraqis, they don't like ISIS. And guess who else shows up? Russia flies in, and they open up a naval base in Syria and an air base. What? The freaking Russians are in Syria now. And then you have the Americans. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different countries that hate ISIS. Okay? By the time Obama left and Trump was elected, ISIS was still fairly viable. Trump brought the sledgehammer. Okay? And like I said, it only takes a few hundred American special forces with the air power that we have to do this, in drones, right? With Hellfire missiles. Baghdadi's dead. We got it. Drone. Okay? The attack outside the airport in Kabul today was carried out by ISIS-K, an offshoot of this group. Okay? So ISIS is a shell of its former self. And of course, Baghdadi is dead. All right. That takes us through like 2018, 2019. Okay. Now, I got to go back to 2008 again. No, I didn't mean to push that. Can I stop it? Shut down my computer. I meant to hit escape and I hit. Will it pop back on? Don't do that. Pop back on. Dumbass. Okay. I'm going over here. You just stay with me. Obama's elected. How much time I got? Okay, 7 minutes. Okay, here's Egypt. Okay. Obama's elected in 2008. 2009, he goes on his first overseas visit. Okay, for President Obama. Goes to Cairo, Egypt. He's speaking at American University there. All right, he gives a really good speech. Okay, about freedom, about self-determination of peoples, where people can choose their own governments, that they don't have to live under dictatorships. You know what I mean? I mean, that's spreading kind of American ideals. So those are good things, right? Now, when we got rid of the dictator in Iraq, Saddam Hussein, we got rid of him. By the way, we captured him, turned him over to the Iraqi government, they put him on trial, and executed him. We didn't execute him. The Iraqis did. Okay? Now, when we got rid of Saddam Hussein, a dictator, a military dictator, that's a good thing, right? But what we got was worse than what we had with ISIS. Guys, ISIS is the depths of evil, man. I'm telling you, these people are sick. What they did to Christians, what they did to the Yazidi people. Look, if you're a Christian, and guys, this is all in the Quran. If you read the Quran, it's you need a caliphate, you got to bring in the West, which is Rome, okay? Bring in the Christians, a great big battle takes place, and ushers in the end time. It's a playbook in the Quran. It's like reading Mein Kampf of Hitler's plan. Okay, it's all in there. So what we got when we got rid of this military dictator was worse than what we had. So Obama is inspiring people to fight for their own freedom. You follow me? And with that, it's going to follow what's called the Arab Spring. People in Egypt, 2 months later, 1 million Egyptians in Tahrir Square in Cairo, and they all have these, and they're communicating on social media, and they're saying, we need to get rid of our dictator. We want freedom. We want elections. 1 million of them. And guys, that's something to celebrate, right? My stuff gonna open back up. Maybe? Restore? Can I restore my session? Is that there? Doggone it. What happened? No. I want the maps. This one. Yes. Go away. Go away. Okay. Cairo, Egypt. Right? Right here. I don't have time. Okay. Military dictator, military dictator, military dictator, military dictator, dead. This is a theocracy, right? The Iranian Revolution, the Islamic Revolution. monarchy, okay, military dictator in Jordan, democracy in Israel, military dictator in Lebanon, okay? Now, so the Egyptians want free elections. Their leader is a guy named Mubarak, the dictator. He's not a good guy. But we have worked really hard in the United States to build good relations with Egypt. And Egypt invaded Israel in 48, 67, and 73. And all three times, when all the neighbors of Israel came down on her, she survived. She defended herself. God's chosen people. I mean, they're getting hammered from every side, and they win 3 times. So after 73, we say to the Egyptians, hey, man, come on. Be nice to Israel. We know you don't like the Jews, but come on. And so, guys, we have a good relationship with Egypt and their military. U.S. military and the Egyptian military work together. They're closely tied. And Mubarak is out. They're getting rid of their dictator. They're going to have free elections in Egypt. You know when the last time they had free elections in Egypt? I can't remember. They don't have political parties, guys. The most organized group in Egypt at the time, and this is 2010, is the Muslim Brotherhood, which many people feel is a terrorist organization. So they have elections, free elections in Egypt. Yes, celebrate that. Who wins? The Muslim Brotherhood. Now, guys, these are fundamentalists. What's going to happen to the women of Egypt? They're going backwards, baby. Your freedoms are going to start being chipped away at. Now, the thing that happened was the head of the Egyptian military is like, hold on a second. We're not going back to the 6th century here. We're not going to live like the Iranians. And they overthrow the government. It's a military coup. Now, people like me that know who the Muslim Brotherhood is. But as a country, we can't recognize that new government because they were taken over, they took over as a military coup. So they got to hold new elections. So this new government says Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. They cannot run. So they hold new elections. The military leader is elected. Now we have relations with Egypt. They are not going back to the 6th century. What you get when you get rid of these dictators is worse than what you had. This is the Arab Spring. And tomorrow, if you'll remind me, we will start with Gaddafi in Libya because he's next. We're going to help get rid of this guy. You know what Libya is today? It's a failed state. There is no government in Libya. What government there is in pockets. The whole country is in failure. What we got was worse than what we had. You think about maybe there's a reason why there's military dictators in these countries. Because the people, some of them are very radical. It keeps those radical people in your country under control. Guys, we'll pick up from that.